Today we're going to touch on pertinent topics such as artificial intelligence in healthcare, access to patients' data, and medical devices, like I just spoke about. So I'm going to introduce you to each panel member individually, and then I'll allow each to share their individual experiences of both the opportunities and the challenges associated with the digital patient's journey from their own perspective. So first, in order to have any sort of digital journey, we need software. So I'd like to welcome to the stage Mateusz Stefański, a digital advisor in Microsoft CEE. He acts as a trusted advisor to customers on their digital journey. Microsoft is the leader in new technologies, a provider of services and devices for consumers and commercial customers to help them fully realize their potential. They do business in 170 countries and are made up of 114,000 employees. So welcome, Mateusz.
Thank you. Welcome.
Next, to discuss technology at the imaging, diagnostic, and archiving stages of the patient journey, we have Dariusz Korecki, the Vice President of Synektik, SA company quoted at Warsaw Stock Exchange. The Synektik Group is a leading supplier of innovative products, services, and IT solutions for diagnostic imaging and nuclear medicine. The company is developing IT applications for the archiving of various medical data related to diagnostic examinations. So welcome to Dariusz.
Welcome to everybody.
Next, from a monitoring and rehabilitation perspective of the patient's journey, we have Jarosław Gośliński. He's the CTO and co-founder of AISens, a young Polish company that develops smart motion tracking sensors. AISens have a plan to improve physiotherapy all over the world. Welcome, Jarosław.
Thank you.
And last but certainly not least, at the therapeutic end of the journey, we have Tomasz Staszelis, Chief Digital Officer of Polpharma Group. Polpharma are the biggest Polish pharmaceutical company, one of 20 biggest generic drug producers in the world, with a strong presence in Russia, Kazakhstan, and many other CE and Asian markets. Welcome, Tomasz. So let's get straight to it. So Mateusz, as you advise patients at most stages of their digital journey, we'll start with you. Can you tell us about how your experience at Microsoft relates to patient data and discuss associated opportunities and hurdles?
Yes, thank you. Very good question. What we see on patient journey and how we treat a patient is, to be honest, at least 4 different actors taking part on this journey. First, of course, is a patient, which is obvious one. But we see a change of the patient, the approach, and how they evolve. The patient are waiting to get the same experience like they do the entertainment, the shopping, the customer care, and the healthcare industry is not yet here. This is still one visit, take the path, another visit, and so on. And this is not continuous environment and continuous experience. And this is something which have to be changed in the future as the patient needs it and we need it as a patient. Second is, of course, doctors who are no longer working in one place for everywhere. They're working from different places, supporting different patients. And they need access to records everywhere they are so they can support the patient through the whole journey as it's needed. So they need to remote have access to information about their patient data, but also the whole plan of the wellness and the treatment plan, not from visit to visit, but a permanent one. The third one, which we not need to still to remember, is the whole hospital organization and clinics who operate whole environment. And they need to access to analyze the clinical data on both way, on the direct patient as myself, and the whole population of the patient, so we can review how treatment works, prepare better treatment, use the technology you present a few seconds ago on the proper way and correct it properly. And last but not least, we have the healthcare organization who support finance and make it whole patient journey running. So we as a Microsoft is supporting mainly the platform and technology. And what our colleagues will discuss later on, we first see a need for a common platform for collaboration between patient and doctors. Like we support in Poland the first telemetry and online visits for in Zabrze here nearby for the heart disease and cardiology visits which can be done remotely. So a number of the visits not bring to the Zabrze from the whole Poland, but do it through the Skype. Another area where we are supporting the way how to get this data, because we discuss a lot of different telemetry devices from measuring different elements. The doctors need to put it together and to look through machine learning or deep analytics to give it up and prepare a personal treatment or to see the trends. And the last but not least is our cloud, who is, everybody say that the cloud is a new change gamer. And it's true. We deliver a safe cloud and trusted cloud, which is certified through security aspect, through GDPR, or in Polish RODO aspects, or through the all healthcare requirements of the European Union and US, so we can put this data safely and operate on it. So this is the major points to support how to get access to information, to run a personalized treatment for the patient, but also to review the whole population of the patient and prepare a proper insights. So this is how we supporting, and I hope that my colleague later on will present a number of technologies which, by surprise, using part of our solutions. Thank you.
Thanks, Mateusz. Yeah, that's great. I think it's really important for software companies to put the whole infrastructure in place for this patient journey. Yeah. Okay, so Dariusz, imaging for diagnosis of disease often marks the beginning of a patient's journey, and then archiving of data can mark the end or further downstream. Could you talk us through, from your perspective, how Synektik are innovating to improve this journey?
Yeah, exactly. Good afternoon to everybody. So Synektik has the experience of more than 15 years in implementing the IT solutions, and these IT solutions are the specialist softwares which gather all the diagnostic imagings, but not only right now diagnostic, but also demographics, data, laboratory tests, and so on. So this deliver and connect the medical devices with the workstations, with the radiology, and with the patients. So what we have seen during these 15 years, how the market has changed. At the beginning, there was the need to gather this information and to archive because of the convergency from analog to digital devices. But this is already happens. There are almost no hospital with the analog RTG or other kind of the digital equipment. So right now, especially the radiology needs only not only the solution to deliver them the images, but give them more analytical devices, more specific software browsers, and more intelligence business solutions to help them to diagnose, to compare the images from different perspectives, from different specialists. So this is one of the changings during this year. And one of the main objectives of our future solutions is to bring the platform which will gather not only, let's say, B2B hospital activity, but also give the access to the patients, because the patients is the owner of the sensitive data, and the patients need to have current access, because these patients can move from city, from region to regions, and need access to all the medical informations to help specialists, physicals, radiologists to give the description of different diseases. So this is one of the main objectives as a platform with the access, with the security access, authorization to everybody, and to exchange this information, and also help, for example, the pharmaceutical business to have some clinical trials, examinations, and data they can use in their activity.
Great, yeah, I think it's so important, even from personal experience, when the data isn't shared, it's impossible. You end up answering the same questions again and again, getting more unnecessary tests. Dariusz and I spoke backstage, and some of the technology that Synektik are looking at is predicting heart attacks, which is very complementary to the work I presented on treating. So it's
this is not the subject of today's discussion, yes, but as a producer of radio tracers, we are running currently the second phase of clinical trials of cardiac tracers, which will help to prevent from the heart attack which is used in the MPI procedures. Yes, so this is really, really important.
I think it's a nice example of the patient journey from prevention possibly to treatment at the other end. So thank you so much, Darius. So next, Jarosław, can you tell us a little about AISens and how its motion tracking sensors may improve physiotherapy, and specifically the challenges and the opportunities you've seen related to digital health?
Yes, thank you, Ella, for the introduction. AISens company I'm representing today is quite young. We have only 1 year. So we started, AISens originates from the robotics. So it was basically the idea to produce the sensors for the robots at the beginning. So we have the transformation. We moved to the digital health, and basically the sensors are, the initial sensor are for tracking the body parts of patient body parts. So we put the sensor on the patient, and we can tell more about the parameters, biomechanical parameters, and about the condition of the given patient. The sensors, it's a technical part. I mean, when we started the company, we were like we were more involved in the technical stuff than the patient relation, with the relation of the patient and the clinic and hospitals, and that's why we were we showed the first version of our sensors and the application. And the patient were like, we don't like this because it's too overwhelming. Why do I get this information on the screen? We don't want to use this. And it was so challenging to start the company, to start the cooperation with the patients and the hospital clinics. Because if you are sitting in working on a technical product, you are too product-centric. And if you are trying to get to the market with the product, you have to start with the relation. And we had no idea that will be the main challenge in the company. And after all, it was a bit of fun because we had testing the sensors at hospital, and patients were more involved in product improvements because we got some feedbacks from them, and they were like, okay, we have to give some additional information, like simple graph, just not the whole stuff here, because that's for the diagnosis purpose for specialists and not for patients. And so that was the biggest challenge, I think, in our company. What's the opportunity? First of all, I have to say that physiotherapy, the rehabilitation process today, most of the places where it takes place, they do not have proper tools to monitor patients. We don't know anything about patient conditions before. Without the digital health, before the digital health come out, and that is the main part of the revolution. We have to start changing this situation, because today patient doesn't know that they can use something which gives an objective measurements about their condition, and we can say that they are in a certain level or in a certain point of the progress of the process. So I think it's my personal opinion that the particularly strongly visible digital health disruption will be visible in physiotherapy. Because there are no, as I said before, tools. So the opportunities are great in this field. And something more, I would like to say something more about the AI in digital health, because we are called AISens, and we put the AI in our sensors as well as in the application. So it has to be noted that patient gets the application, and it's so good to have the profile of the patient, this nice feedback from the application, but there is something on the low level of the product in the sensors that is running, and it's called AI methods. And it has to be highlighted that everyone, when we speak about the AI, we have to think about small methods like methods for the search, for the optimization, for the estimation that are AI-based, like they are bio-inspired, like the swarm optimization methods, like end colonies. So there are many things in the sensor. And the AI is not only on the high level, it's like on the high level programming languages, it's also running on the low level programming languages. And it is very important to highlight this, because everyone who get the application he sees that there are some things coming on the screen, and this is not only the part of the whole process, because it's only the application, but there are some technical things that are done and has to be done before we start the process of selling the product. So it's challenge in every stage of the product development. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting points, because you know, we think patient access to data is always the more the better, but sometimes if they have too much access, maybe it's not a good thing, right? Yes. So there's probably a balance there, and also interesting that it may increase compliance to physiotherapy or potentially pharmaceutical treatment if patients can see that it's improving their health. Yes. Great. So that's kind of a nice segue into Tomasz, who's going to speak at the therapeutic end of the journey, and about how Polpharma and digital health opens up opportunities or can sometimes create barriers in the pharmaceutical world.
Yes, thank you very much, and good afternoon. Before we go to the purely potential new opportunities for pharmaceutical industry, I think one of the most critical element of the transformation in healthcare, digital transformation in healthcare, is actually moving the patient into the center of the system. And I think everything that we heard today is confirming that we are seeing that as an enormous opportunity for multiple dimensions, let's say, of that situation. However, I think that despite of the availability of all these technologies and solutions from the technical or from the technology point of view, I was quite surprised to see that, for example, last year research performed here in Poland showed that over 65% of the patients still consider the digital health to be in a poor state. Yeah? And I think that one of the major challenges for the patient is actually, and my colleagues mentioned that in a way, is there is so much of the things available. There is so much talk about that, what technology can do for health. But if all elements of this ecosystem do not work together in synchronization, actually there is very minimal value for the patient sees. Yeah? And I think that this is where we jointly, in this space, need to focus on, and together with administration and other players on the market, we need to think how to improve it. Now, what does it mean for pharmaceutical companies? I believe that there are, again, multi-level opportunities, starting from education, because this patient today have access to information. So we have channels in which we can educate the patient better about the impact of certain therapies, especially if we are talking about the drugs without prescription. Then even from regulatory point of view, it's easier. And we as Polpharma are quite active in the social medias, on the web, in providing patients as much information as we can to have them successful through the therapies. The other element is about, moving from just drugs into the solutions, especially focusing on patient compliance, because we all know that if the drugs are not taken according to prescription, they cannot really make what they are designed for. So this is another opportunity where definitely pharmaceutical business can help together with technology partners. And then the third area where I believe the chances, maybe that's the most advanced level, is actually helping the patient to orientate themselves in this ecosystem, again, in partnership with the different players, technology and medical service providers, and so on and so on. So for Polpharma, for example, that really means, and this morning we could hear that from our CEO in the main stage, where he said that Polpharma is today transforming from being the generic drug provider into the trusted healthcare solution provider in future. And that's where we would like to team up with the players in ecosystem and drive the things together for better patient experience.
Awesome. I noticed we have a couple of questions come in from the audience there, Ellen, if you were able to table those.
Yes. So the first question is, as we connect or embed devices to the body, how do we ensure they are digitally secure? So it's a great question. Is anyone from the panel wanting to answer?
For example, a few weeks ago, we just announced and introduced to the market something called Azure Sensor, or Sphere, which is a dedicated chipset to secure IoT devices, including the healthcare devices. So yes, the industry already perceives this as a challenge and prepare a dedicated solutions to increase the security and encryption of the data through the whole flow of the information.
Fantastic.
Also, the second case, if I don't mind.
Yeah. So I'll just read it. With the recent GDPR privacy legislation, will patients have concerns over ever more detailed information, and will this disrupt use of AI for digital health?
And this is also a good concern. And it's why we discussed that we see two different types of profiling. One, this is a dedicated person, which operate through the companies like we have here today, which is their own data, and they manage it themselves. And the second layer is to animals and operate on the bigger data pools and dates like you operate in MIT. So, for example, in UK, the government divided the healthcare data into 5 categories, and putting proper level of the category of the information, how they can be proceed through digital environment. And only we find out 8% of the data are really the most top secure for the customer for personal information, and the others can be on different level aggregated and used for treatment plan or welfare plans.
Okay.
So this is somehow already tackled through the world, also in Poland.
I would like to add a few sentences about, for example, the patient's role and the integrations. This is the most critical way to integrate all the information. For example, we already gathered the information about dose radiation per examination, either it's CT or X-ray and so on. But if the patients are moving between different locations, nobody gather all this information, and nobody knows if there is over limit radiation per year per patient and so on. So it's important to gather this information together using different technologies, and I can confirm that all the information are secured by special descriptions.
Great. Awesome. I think we'll end with that, with the emphasis on the patient-centric journey. And thank you very much to all the speakers. I think it was great insight into this from multiple perspectives. So thank you.
So